নমস্কাৰ প্ৰিয় দৰ্শক কৃষ্ণকান্ত সন্দিকৈ ৰাজ্যিক মুক্ত বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ৰ বিশেষ বিদ্যায়তনিক দৃশ্যশ্ৰব্য অনুষ্ঠান সীমাৰ পৰিধি ভাঙিলৈ আপোনালোক সকলোকে স্বাগতম জনাইছো। আজি আমাৰ আলোচনাৰ বিষয়বস্তু হ'ল গ্ৰুপ বিহেভিয়াৰ এণ্ড টিম ডেভেলপমেণ্ট। এই সম্পৰ্কে আলোচনা কৰিবলৈ আজি আমাৰ অনুষ্ঠানৰ মাজত আছে কৃষ্ণকান্ত সন্দিকৈ ৰাজ্যিক মুক্ত বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ৰ মেনেজমেণ্ট বিভাগৰ অধ্যাপক নৃপেন্দ্ৰ নাৰায়ণ শৰ্মা। প্ৰিয় দৰ্শক আহক আমি এই অনুষ্ঠানটিৰ মাজলৈ যাওঁ।
Dear learners, in this session we shall discuss about group behavior and team development. In our day-to-day language, though we use the two words group and team in an interchangeable manner, but in management parlance and from the managerial perspectives, there are some differences between these two words. In this session, we shall try to understand these differences. You see, at any given point of time, we all are members in many different groups. Suppose we are a member of a family, we work in organizations, we work in particular sections or departments of an organization, we belong to that group, we belong to family. We may be a member of a sports club, we may be a member of a voluntary club, we are member of that also. Or we could be a member of a political party, like that. So at any given point of time, the average individual belongs to 5 or 6 different groups. In an organization, individuals work in group. Basically, individuals work in collections in an organization. We say by organization we mean an intentional structure of roles. Those roles are structured and those roles are being manned and those individuals comprise groups. In this session, we shall try to make an endeavor to know about the differences between group and team. Then we shall also try to discuss the different aspects of team development as well as the types of different team. Basically, these are the 3 objectives that we shall try to achieve at the end of this session. Let us first try to understand the concept of group. When we discuss about group, the concept of group as well as group dynamics automatically set in. As I said a few minutes back, that a group is a collection of 2 or more individuals. One person cannot be a group. It has to be more than 2 persons. A crowd cannot be a group. Some of the cinegoers waiting in front of a cinema hall, they cannot form a group. That's a crowd. The people on a street in Fancy Bazaar in Guwahati cannot be called a group. It's a part of crowd. So for group to be effective, there has to be interdependence, there has to be interaction. Committee is an example of a group because they interact. And the committee, the members are interdependent on each other. And they do for what? To achieve a goal. That is the basic purpose. So a group is thus an aggregation. Aggregation of people who interact with each other and they are aware of one another. They have a common objective or goal and they perceive themselves to be a group. So there is a group identity. So mere collection of people cannot constitute a group. That part we have to be clear at the beginning. So group has to be characterized by this and they will have a common objective. So what are the characteristics of a group? As we have discussed, first characteristics, this interaction, interdependence. In addition to that, it has to be 2 or more persons. Then only a group will be formed. That is number 1. They have to have a collective identity. That is very important. It's not individual identity. As because an individual is a member of a group, they will have to have that collective identity. Then what? They will have to have the interaction and interdependence. Just now we have discussed. And they will have to have the common purpose. So these are the 4 characteristics which define a group. There are different types of groups. When we talk about group, there are different types of groups. Some group are formal, some group are informal. There could be formal groups. So when we say groups, straightway we can divide the groups into two categories. One is formal groups, the other one is informal groups. Formal groups, those are required by the very structure of an organization. As I have stated already, by organization we mean an intentional structure of roles. So there are some formal groups in an organization, and along with these formal groups, automatically in any kind of organizations, the informal groups exist. Formal groups, there are some types. We can talk about the command group, we can talk about the task group, we can talk about the project group. Like that, we can talk about various kinds of committees we all are familiar with. These are all examples of, formal groups. Say command group. The supervisor is there, the subordinates are there. The supervisor commands the subordinates. Subordinates obey the command. That's a command group. They work in cohesion. Task group. Beyond those supervisor and subordinates, there could be some other aspects which might require some other decisions. So those are the matters of task group. Project group is there, committees are there. Then we are having the informal group, and there also we come across a number of different types, like say friendship groups, interest group, there could be reference group. These are examples of informal groups. Command group, just now I have stated, is a supervisor subordinate. Task group, suppose in an organization there are certain disciplinary matters have to be sorted out. So a subordinate is not behaving as per the required behavioral norms of an organization. So that subordinate needs to be disciplined. The concerned supervisor of the command group may not feel adequate. He might require the suggestion or the intervention of the internal or say personal department, or maybe some other experts in the organization. So those are something related with task. And project is what? It's basically cross-functional. They work on a project mode with a definite start to a definite end. Then committees. Committees are quite common in organizations, because individually we may not be in a position to discuss many things. Forget about discussing, we may not be in a position to take decisions on many things. So when we form committees, we basically pool opinion, and based on those pooled opinions, we can arrive at some commonly accepted decisions, and we can think about implementing that. We can talk about follow-up actions. Likewise, as I said, that an organization, that an informal organization coexists with the formal organization. Suppose there are new recruits. So those new recruits are likely to form a group. So there are certain bonds of attraction. And there could be the interest groups, though they may not be formally defined by an organization. Suppose in an organization, there are some persons who are always interested in organizing the events in the organization. Those persons only take the interest. So that's what a special interest group in the organization. There could be reference groups. So in this regard, we may discuss certain group norms, whether it is formal or whether it is informal. These group norms have certain characteristics. Group norms. These need to be discussed in the context of group behavior. How do we behave in the context of a group? That's the group norms, group behavior, group dynamics. Here are certain points. As personality reveals an individual, so group norms do for groups. Individually, you and me, we are different. Mr. X is different from Mr. Y. As far as this first characteristics goes, it states that groups norms also differ from group to group. Norms serve as the basis of group. Suppose in some groups, they might prefer that your work is very serious. We need to always work very, very seriously. There is no scope for fun. There is no scope for humor. On the contrary, there could be some groups who are doing very serious works and who prefer that while doing serious work, there should be some components of humor, there should be components of fun. Let's enjoy work as a fun. So the groups set themselves certain norms. And because of this, the group behavior or the individual behaviors in the group may be predicted and can be controlled also. And these norms normally apply to all members of the group. It may not be uniform to all the members, but these norms normally apply to all the members of the group. Like as individuals we are different, groups also differ, and as groups differ, each group is characterized by certain norms. Take some factors for discussion. One is inducing agreement on group goals and members' homogeneity. The members have to think alike. That does not mean that there should not be any differences of opinion. Those differences of opinions need to be sorted out, and ultimately they need to work as a homogeneous group despite the heterogeneities. Like as individuals we are different, groups also differ, and as groups differ, each group is characterized by certain norms. Take some factors for discussion. One is inducing agreement on group goals and members' homogeneity. The members have to think alike. That does not mean that there should not be any differences of opinion. Those differences of opinions need to be sorted out, and ultimately they need to work as a homogeneous group despite the heterogeneities. And from management perspectives, what we can do, we can encourage competition among rival groups. We can create healthy rivalry among different groups, and we can promote competition. So cohesiveness automatically don't come. That is one aspect. Cohesiveness needs to be initiated, needs to be nurtured. To that extent, management has to be extra careful. Suppose an organization having different groups, group 1, group 2, like that, group N. Different groups will be there in an organization. Within the group, there is an intra-group, and among the groups, there will be the inter-group. That inter-group behavior is very important in an organization. To make it clear, let us discuss some types along with certain examples. One example in this intergroup behavior among different groups, say we can talk about of intergroup, pooled interdependence. We can talk about the sequential, the third one is reciprocal, and the fourth one is team interdependence. These are all, these are all examples of interdependence. No group can function on its own alone. The pooled interdependence. So think about an automobile plant. The automobile plant will have multiple functions. An automobile manufacturing of an automobile will require carburetor, will require bearing, will require color, will require mattresses, will require mirrors, will require glasses, like so many components. If one thing is missing, the entire thing will go wrong. So it's pooled interdependence. Then only they can work in a very cohesive manner. Likewise, in the sequential, we talk about assembly line operations in manufacturing. If first thing is not made, the second thing gets interrupted. So that is the sequential interdependence. Third one is reciprocal interdependence. Union gives something, management has to give something. They are all interdependent. Supply chain management we talk about. There has to be interdependence amongst these. All of them will have to work in a cohesive manner. Say, within those major functions, there could be sub-functions. Like say in marketing, there could be marketing research, there could be sales, there could be advertising. All of them will have to work as a team. Our organization comprises multiple groups. Group 1, Group 2, like that. Group N. All these groups will have to work in a cohesive manner. The types of interactions among these groups. One is this intergroup, as we have discussed, that openness and cooperation has to be facilitated. Then we need to think about some healthy competition among the groups, but we should always see that those competitions do not result in group hostility or some unhealthy competition. So those are likely to disturb the positive performance of an organization. They are likely to spread negative morale in the organization. Then let us discuss the various stages of group development. Groups automatically do not come. It goes through certain processes. First is forming. Second one is storming, norming, performing, adjourning. To understand these 5 stages of group development. First of all, the group has to be formed. Let us take the example of a formal group. And formal group, we all discussed that one type of formal group is a committee. Every organization right, has got different committees. Committees have to be formed. So organization issues notification. They form the committees. And committees normally are of different peoples having different backgrounds so that they can have diverse opinions. They can discuss the matters. So the forming is important because that is an formal group. So formal group, committee is a formal group, committee needs to be formed. Once the committee is formed, from day one, that committee will not function in a very smooth manner. According to these stages, because different people will come from different background, they are likely to have some differences of opinions. Storming means storming of ideas, discussing the differences of opinions, arriving at some agreement. Then they will discuss about the modalities and they will think about that this is how we should function. These are the parameters we need to take care of. Like that, they will normalize their functioning. So here onwards, the committee will come into its own shape, own effect. Then the committee will start performing. When the committee will start performing, they will discuss themselves. Are we moving in the right track? Whether all the things have been considered. Then a time will come when that committee will have to be dissolved because we do not need this committee. Or maybe we may think about forming a new committee. That is the fifth stage. So that's the life of a committee. Committee has to be formed. Committee will have differences of ideas. Committee will normalize its modalities. Committee will perform. And after the performance or after the evaluation of their performance, the committee will be adjourned. So these are basically the stages of group development. We are discussing about group behavior and team development. The size is very important. Say 5-member committee and say 50-member committee. What will be the kind of discussion? 5-member committee can closely discuss, can intensely discuss. 50-member committee, we may lose track of the discussion. Composition is also important. Suppose one member is very, very experienced, say managing director. The other member is a grade 4 employee and is a newly recruited grade 4 employee. One member is something, right? They are like different kinds of background. So the composition of the group, that is highly divergent, heterogeneous. So in that case also we may not expect very good results from the group. And then the type of discussion about that, whether it is anonymity or dissent, disagreement, common agreement, these are the aspects. We should not strive for consensus. Consensus means all persons accepting the decision. At the same time, we should not look for outright dissent also. Somebody is totally disagreeing. We need to discuss the matters in such a manner that we may not be in a position to arrive at complete consensus or say other way, consensus, or at the same time, we should not go for dissent kind of things also. We should discuss all the aspects in a group setting and then ultimately we should arrive at a commonly agreeable, accepted decision. And this is very important. Our learners should know about this risky shift. Risky shift is when individuals have to take certain decisions. Suppose I am the decision maker, I am the boss, I am the manager of a particular section. I need to take a strong decision. Individually, I may feel shaky. So, if the organization forms a committee and we discuss all the issues, all the matters, all the problems, prospects, all the intricacies in a group setting, then we can afford to take a decision, a risky decision. Committee has decided this. An individual taking could be higher amount of risk. But when we take the help of a committee, the individuals, normally research has also substantiated it, the individuals are in a better position to take higher risks. So that is an advantage in case of group setting, that we can afford to take risky decisions in an organization. So these are some of the aspects of group decision making. Friends, compared to an individual, the groups usually have greater knowledge, expertise and skill base to make better decisions. Larger number of members provides more perspectives of the problem as because they are differently experienced. As such, the narrow vision of a single perspective is avoided in making decisions. With larger number of group members, the participation also increases. That helps reach at a quality decision. And following increased group participation, comprehension of final decision is usually high. If we do not discuss the things and we just give a decision, many members may not understand the importance or the complexities of the decision. But whenever they get involved, they can understand it. Disadvantages of group decision making. Group decision making is a time consuming process. In case of some urgent situation, suppose a fire has taken place in an organization, we need to go for firefighting measure. In that case, we do not have the time to invite the members to sit and to discuss in group what should we do, like that. So in that case, we cannot afford to go for democratic kind of decision making. We have to be autocratic, one person taking full charge of the situation and deciding. Group decision making is a time consuming process. Influential members manipulate the group decision in the direction of their liking and interest. And the other members who are not that influential, they have to succumb to the pressure. Sometimes decisions made by the group members are simply a compromise only between the various views and options offered by the group members. We may not be in a position to arrive at some effective decision. After having a discussion on various group related aspects, now let us turn our attention to team development. Groups, all the groups may not be team, but all the teams are group. For a group to graduate to team, it has to meet certain requirements. So what's a team? A team comprises a group of people linked in a common purpose. It's a group linked in a common purpose, but to understand it, we'll have to take some examples. We have seen on 15th August, 26th January, the demonstration by the Air Force pilots on the sky. They all, right, several aircrafts together, right, in a very synchronized manner, they are demonstrating some high quality performance. So they all are working in a team, high level precision. One small something if goes wrong, the entire thing will go wrong in a very bad manner. We can take the examples we all see, the Discovery Channel, Animal Planet, etc. We see the wolves hunting, the lions hunting. So they work in a team. So that team performance, and we can take the example of a football match, or we can take the example of a volleyball competition, volleyball match. These are the examples of teams. So a team comprises a group of people or animals linked in a common purpose. Teams are specially appropriate for conducting tasks that are highly complex and have many interdependent sub-tasks. Football team, as I have stated, wolves or common herd are examples. A group in itself does not necessarily constitute a team, as I have told you. Groups will have to graduate to team. Teams normally have members with complementary skills, and generally they generate synergy. Synergy means 1 plus 1 is greater than 2, or say 2 plus 2 is greater than 4. That is synergy. We talk about synergy. Means the group effects are more than the combination of the individual effects. That synergy we find in team. Because the members have complementary skills. With that, they try to maximize their strengths. In an organization, we might find different kinds of team. One could be the problem-solving team. One could be the self-managed work teams. Then say cross-functional team. Then we can also talk about the virtual teams, right? Different types of teams. Problem-solving team. Say some organizations might be having the quality circles. They will discuss some quality issues and accordingly they will make measures to address those quality circles. Self-managed work teams, say in case of an advertising, so they will have to discuss about graphics, they will have to discuss about dialogues, they will have to discuss about shooting, script. So that is there, they will have to work in a creative work. Cross-functional, say marketing, finance, production, also of them, it's a project type of situations. And in today's context, we are having the important and emerging trend of having virtual teams. Means online collaborative effort. How do these teams function? Leadership plays a big role. For these team members, defined team members, the leadership L will greatly influence the team. Think about a football match, think about a cricket match, the role of the captain. Which cricketer, which bowler will bowl from which end, which batsman will come at what order, the leader will decide. And ultimately they will work in a team. And the leader has to see certain aspects, like say roles have to be balanced. They should be free from stress, and as regards stress, there are some saying that stress should not be very less also. There should be some stress, people enjoy working in stress, but there has to be a limit. The team will have to be in a position to work in different situations. The leadership has to be shared. It's not always that a one-person leadership. The leadership will have to be shared. Then only that the benefits will percolate down. The communication amongst the team members will have to be open. There is openness in communication is very, very important. They themselves collectively will have to decide about the formulation of goals. Then they will have to decide about the control mechanism, review mechanism. They will have to discuss about the goal. They will have to discuss about the review mechanism. And the entire thing will have to be facilitated. That facilitation is very important for the functioning of any kind of team. So dear learners, we have discussed various aspects of groups and team. Formation and functioning of these groups and teams are very, very important for an organization to successfully sustain, to be successful. To that extent, managerial decision making has a great role to play. Nurturing, sustaining this group team spirit in various settings, group settings of an organization ultimately contribute towards the organizational excellence. From that perspective, understanding the group behavior and the intricacies associated with team development is very, very important. Thank you.
প্ৰিয় দৰ্শক, ইমান পৰে কৃষ্ণকান্ত সন্দিকৈ ৰাজ্যিক মুক্ত বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ৰ বিশেষ বিদ্যায়তনিক দৃশ্য শ্ৰব্য অনুষ্ঠান সীমাৰ পৰিধি ভাঙিৰ জৰিয়তে আমি আপোনালোকৰ বাবে আগবঢ়ালো গ্ৰুপ বিহেভিয়াৰ এণ্ড টিম ডেভেলপমেণ্ট শীৰ্ষক এই বিষয়টি। আজিৰ এই আলোচনাটি আপোনালোকৰ বাবে লৈ আহিল কৃষ্ণকান্ত সন্দিকৈ ৰাজ্যিক মুক্ত বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ৰ মেনেজমেণ্ট বিভাগৰ অধ্যাপক নৃপেন্দ্ৰ নাৰায়ণ শৰ্মাই। প্ৰিয় দৰ্শক, আশা ৰাখিছোঁ এই অনুষ্ঠানটিৰ জৰিয়তে আপোনালোক কিছু পৰিমাণে হ'লেও উপকৃত হ'ল। অহা দেওবাৰে আজিৰ এই একে সময়তে আপোনালোকৰ বাবে আমি লৈ আহিম এটি নতুন বিষয়। এতিয়া মই আপোনালোকৰ পৰা বিদায় লৈছোঁ। ধন্যবাদ, নমস্কাৰ।